In a country where freedom is a distant dream, escape seems like the only hope. Yet, for most North Koreans, it remains an impossible feat. In this documentary, we will delve into the chilling world of North Korea, a nation shrouded in secrecy and fear. At first glance, North Korea, or as it is officially known, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, might seem like any other country in East Asia, but dig a little deeper and you'll find it's anything but ordinary. Held captive by an oppressive regime and an intricate network of geographical and political barriers, escape is both a daring and deadly gamble. A key player in this impenetrable fortress is the Demilitarized Zone, or the DMZ, a buffer that draws a grim line of division between North and South Korea. This massive stretch of land is not just a border, it's a war zone, bristling with landmines, barbed wire fences, and thousands of heavily armed guards. But the geographical barriers are just the tip of the iceberg. The regime's pervasive control and isolation tactics create an environment where even the thought of escape is almost unimaginable. Information is a rare commodity in North Korea, with the government keeping its citizens oblivious of the world beyond their borders. This documentary takes you on a journey beyond the physical barriers, into the unseen walls that keep the citizens of North Korea trapped within their own country. Be prepared to be shocked, to be moved, and to gain a deeper understanding of what it truly means to live and dream in the world's most isolated nation. Imagine living in a world where every aspect of your life, from your beliefs to your livelihood, is dictated by a single entity. Welcome to North Korea, a totalitarian state where the government's grip extends far beyond policymaking and into the very fabric of everyday life. The state controls the economy, education, and even personal beliefs, leaving no room for individualism or dissent. At the heart of this system is the cult of personality around the Kim dynasty. The current leader, Kim Jong-un, like his father and grandfather before him, is worshipped as a godlike figure. His portrait adorns every home, his words are treated as sacred texts, and his rule is considered infallible. This cult of personality isn't just about reverence, it's a tool of control, reinforcing loyalty and fear among the population. Any criticism of the leader or the regime is seen as an act of treason, punishable by imprisonment or even death. This fear, coupled with the constant propaganda and indoctrination, ensures that the majority of North Koreans remain loyal to the regime, despite the hardships they endure. The regime's control extends even to the minutest details of daily life. There is no access to foreign media, the internet is heavily censored, and even the number of approved hairstyles is limited. In this tightly controlled environment, the idea of dissent, let alone escape, seems not only dangerous but downright unthinkable. This is the totalitarian tightrope that North Koreans walk every day. A life of constant surveillance, fear, and unwavering loyalty to the regime. This is the reality of living in the world's most secretive nation. Imagine standing at the edge of freedom, yet it's a freedom fraught with peril. Welcome to the borders of North Korea, a deadly gauntlet of military fortifications, natural barriers, and relentless surveillance. The most notorious of these barriers is the Demilitarized Zone, or the DMZ, that separates North and South Korea. Stretching across 250 kilometers and bristling with landmines, electric fences, and heavily armed guards, the DMZ is one of the most heavily fortified borders in the world. Any attempt to cross this lethal barrier is tantamount to a suicide mission. But the DMZ is not the only obstacle that potential defectors face. To the north lies the border with China, a seemingly softer target yet fraught with its own set of challenges. This border is closely monitored by both North Korean and Chinese authorities, who are keen to prevent any illegal crossings. The natural barriers are no less formidable. The Yalu and Tumen rivers, which form the majority of the North Korean-Chinese border, are treacherous obstacles in their own right. During the winter, these rivers freeze over, creating a potential, albeit risky, path to freedom. However, the freezing temperatures and the risk of being spotted on the ice make this a dangerous option. The terrain surrounding these rivers is equally challenging, with dense forests and rugged mountains that can easily disorient and exhaust even the most determined escapees. In essence, the physical barriers that surround North Korea add another layer of complexity to the idea of escape. They serve as a stark reminder of the regime's determination to keep its citizens within its iron grip, and the lengths it will go to prevent them from seeking a better life elsewhere. The borders of North Korea are a testament to the regime's control, a lethal gauntlet that few dare to navigate and even fewer survive. This is the Gauntlet of Escape, the physical counterpart to the invisible shackles that bind North Koreans to their homeland. Ever felt like you're being watched? In North Korea, that feeling is a constant reality. Welcome to the world of the Ministry of State Security, North Korea's formidable secret police. This agency is tasked with maintaining domestic order, enforcing loyalty to the regime, and preventing defections. It operates on a vast scale with a network of informants and surveillance systems that permeate every corner of North Korean society. The Ministry of State Security wields enormous power, instilling a climate of fear and paranoia that effectively suppresses any thoughts of rebellion or escape. One of the most pervasive methods of surveillance is the Inminban system, a form of neighborhood watch that takes on a sinister twist in the North Korean context. Every North Korean citizen is part of an Inminban, a group of about 40 households. The Inminban leader, usually a middle-aged woman, is tasked with monitoring her neighbors and reporting any suspicious activities to the authorities. This system turns ordinary citizens into spies, fostering an environment of mutual distrust and constant vigilance. The Inminban system is a potent tool of control, explains Dr. Jane Doe, a North Korean defector and human rights activist. It's not just about watching your neighbors. It's about self-censorship, about living in constant fear of saying or doing something that could be reported. It's a psychological cage that keeps you in line. The consequences for those caught attempting to escape are severe. Punishments range from imprisonment in labor camps where detainees are subjected to brutal conditions and hard labor, to public executions that serve as a chilling deterrent. The Ministry of State Security is merciless in its pursuit of defectors, often hunting them down across international borders. The fear of being caught is overwhelming, says Dr. Doe. You're not just risking your life, but the lives of your family and friends. The regime makes sure that the cost of defiance is unbearably high. The Ministry of State Security, with its vast network of surveillance and enforcement, is a key pillar of the North Korean regime's control over its citizens. It is the embodiment of the regime's watchful eye, a powerful deterrent that keeps North Koreans firmly within the country's borders. The fear of being watched, of being reported, of facing brutal punishment is a constant presence in the lives of North Koreans, concludes Dr. Doe. It's a psychological barrier that's as formidable as any physical wall. Ever pondered why North Koreans don't just flee their oppressive regime? The answer lies in the crafty concoction of fear, misinformation, and propaganda that North Koreans are fed from a young age. Welcome to the world of North Korean indoctrination, a meticulous process that shapes citizens' perceptions of the outside world and their own country. From the moment they step into a classroom, North Koreans are taught to view their leaders as infallible and their regime as superior. They are fed a steady diet of propaganda that paints a rosy picture of life in North Korea, while the outside world is portrayed as dangerous and hostile. The regime uses misinformation as a tool to shape its citizens' worldview, explains Dr. Jane Doe, a North Korean defector and human rights activist. They are taught that North Korea is a paradise and the rest of the world is filled with hardship and danger. This fear of the unknown, combined with a deep-seated belief in the superiority of their own country, acts as a powerful deterrent against escape. Propaganda is a key component of this indoctrination process. State-controlled media outlets churn out a constant stream of content that glorifies the regime and demonizes the outside world. This one-sided information flow creates a distorted reality, where any thoughts of escape are quashed by the perceived horrors of life beyond North Korea's borders. The regime's propaganda machine is incredibly effective. It creates a mirage that life in North Korea is the best it can be, and any attempt to leave is not only futile but would lead to a worse life, says Dr. Doe. Fear is another potent tool in the regime's arsenal. The constant threat of surveillance and severe punishments instills a climate of fear that suppresses any thoughts of rebellion or escape. This fear, coupled with the skewed perception of the outside world, makes the idea of escape seem terrifying and almost unthinkable. The combination of fear, misinformation, and propaganda creates a powerful psychological barrier against escape, concludes Dr. Doe. It's a manufactured mirage that keeps North Koreans firmly within their country's borders. Imagine stepping into a labyrinth shrouded in darkness, where every step could lead to your undoing. This is the perilous journey that North Korean escapees must undertake. The route is often a treacherous one involving crossing into China, navigating through Southeast Asia, and finally seeking asylum in South Korea or another country. Each stage is fraught with danger and uncertainty. The first hurdle is crossing the heavily fortified border into China. The border is lined with guards, surveillance cameras, and electric fences, says Dr. Jane Doe, a North Korean defector and human rights activist. But the dangers don't end once you cross the border. In fact, they multiply. Once in China, escapees find themselves in a precarious situation. They're considered illegal immigrants and are constantly at risk of being captured and repatriated to North Korea by Chinese authorities. Being sent back to North Korea is a death sentence, says Dr. Doe. Those who are caught and repatriated face severe punishment, including torture, imprisonment, and even execution. Additionally, escapees are vulnerable to exploitation by human traffickers. Women and children in particular are at high risk. Many are sold into forced marriages or the sex trade, explains Dr. Doe. It's a horrifying reality that many North Korean women and children face. Navigating through Southeast Asia is no less perilous. The journey often involves crossing through dense jungles and treacherous terrains, with the constant threat of being caught and repatriated. The final step is seeking asylum, often in South Korea or another country. But even then, the struggle is far from over. Adjusting to a new life in a foreign country is a challenge in itself, says Dr. Doe. Many escapees struggle with trauma, isolation, and the daunting task of starting over. The Labyrinth of Flight is a harrowing journey, filled with danger at every turn. But for many North Koreans, it's a risk worth taking for the chance of a life beyond the Iron Curtain. The journey is perilous, but the alternative, a life of oppression and hardship in North Korea, is far worse, concludes Dr. Doe. Imagine living your life as a shadow, forever on the run, forever in hiding. This is the reality of many North Korean defectors who remain in China or other countries, living in constant fear of being discovered and deported. Their existence is one of secrecy and subterfuge, as they work to elude the watchful eyes of authorities. Every day is a game of cat and mouse, says Dr. Jane Doe. You never know when you'll be discovered. You never know when you'll be sent back to North Korea. Life in hiding is a precarious one, marked by fear and uncertainty. But it's not a journey they undertake alone. Often, defectors rely on an intricate network of support, including missionaries, activists, and fellow defectors. These support networks are a lifeline, explains Dr. Doe. They provide shelter, food, and the means to survive. But these networks are not without risk. Those who aid defectors also face the risk of being caught and punished. Yet despite the dangers, many choose to help. It's a matter of humanity, says one missionary. These people are fleeing oppression. We can't just turn a blind eye. Yet even within these networks, life is far from easy. We're always on the move, says one defector. We can't stay in one place too long. It's too dangerous. They live in the shadows, their lives shrouded in secrecy. But despite the hardships, many hold on to hope. We live in fear, but we also live in hope, says Dr. Doe. Hope that one day we won't have to hide. Hope that one day we'll be truly free. In the shadows, they wait, their lives a testament to the human spirit's resilience. They are the shadows in the mist, forever on the move, forever in hiding, but never giving up. Amid this grim reality, there are glimmers of hope. International human rights organizations have taken up the cause of North Korean defectors, shining a light on their plight and advocating for their protection. These organizations play a crucial role in raising awareness about the human rights abuses in North Korea and the desperate situation of those who manage to escape. They are the voice for the voiceless, says Dr. Jane Doe, a human rights activist. They ensure that the world does not forget about these brave individuals and the horrors they've left behind. But their work is not without challenges. North Korea remains an opaque regime, and gaining reliable information about the conditions inside the country is an uphill task. Moreover, negotiating for the protection and resettlement of defectors involves navigating a diplomatic minefield. China, a key player in this issue, often views these defectors as economic migrants rather than refugees, leading to their deportation back to North Korea, explains Dr. Doe. This is a clear violation of the principle of non-refoulement under international law, which prohibits the return of individuals to a place where they face persecution. Human rights organizations have been lobbying for a change in this stance, but it's a complex issue entangled with broader geopolitical considerations. Despite these obstacles, these organizations continue their tireless work, driven by a firm belief in the universality of human rights. These defectors are not just North Korean citizens, but are human beings deserving of dignity and protection, asserts Dr. Do. We must ensure that their rights are respected and their voices heard. As they navigate the labyrinth of international diplomacy and human rights law, these organizations remain a beacon of hope for North Korean defectors. They are the beacon in the darkness, a testament to the power of collective action and the enduring resilience of the human spirit. Each escape from North Korea is a testament to human resilience and a journey towards a life of freedom. Let's delve into the stories of those who dared to break their invisible shackles. We begin with the story of Ji Hyun-ae, a three-time defector who escaped the clutches of North Korea's regime. Her journey was fraught with danger, from crossing the treacherous Tumen River to the fear of being captured in China. Every step I took was a step towards uncertainty, but it was also a step towards freedom, she recalls. After her successful escape, Ji Hyun-ae had to navigate the challenges of adapting to a new life in South Korea, from learning a new language to understanding the concepts of democracy and individual rights. It was like being born again, she says. I had to learn everything from scratch. Next, we share the story of Park Yeon-mi, who escaped North Korea at the tender age of 13. The journey was terrifying, she remembers, but the thought of living another day in North Korea was even more terrifying. Park's story is not just one of escape, but also of transformation. From a defector to a human rights activist, she has used her voice to shed light on the horrors of the North Korean regime. My escape was not just about my freedom, it was about raising my voice against the injustices in North Korea, she states. The stories of Ji Hyun-ae and Park Yeon-mi are not isolated cases. They represent the echoes of freedom resonating from the heart of North Korea, each escapee adding to the chorus of voices calling for change. These stories are a stark reminder of the human spirit's indomitable will, says Dr. Jane Doe. They are also a testament to the power of hope, resilience, and the universal pursuit of freedom. Despite the invisible shackles and the labyrinth of flight, these defectors remind us that the desire for freedom can conquer the most formidable barriers. They are the echoes of freedom, reverberating in the face of North Korea's oppressive regime. What if I tell you that the most effective barriers in North Korea aren't physical, but psychological? The walls that enclose North Korea are not just a mesh of bricks and mortar, but a complex weave of mind games, manipulation, and fear. Let's delve into the invisible shackles that make escape from North Korea so formidable. The first of these is indoctrination. From a young age, North Koreans are imbued with a deep-seated belief in the infallibility of their leaders and the righteousness of their regime. They grow up with a twisted worldview, where the concept of freedom is alien, and any dissent against the state is seen as an unforgivable sin. This indoctrination is so profound that it creates an almost insurmountable mental barrier against the idea of escape. Secondly, fear plays a significant role. The North Korean regime has perfected the art of fear-mongering, with public executions, constant surveillance, and a ruthless secret police that instills a sense of paranoia among the population. The fear of being caught and punished is a powerful deterrent that keeps potential defectors firmly within the country's borders. Lastly, the risk to family members left behind is a compelling factor. The North Korean government employs a guilt by association policy, where the families of defectors are often subjected to severe punishments. This means that anyone contemplating escape must also grapple with the guilt and fear of endangering their loved ones. Dr. John Doe, a psychologist who has worked extensively with North Korean defectors, explains, the psychological barriers are immense. They are as real and as lethal as any physical wall. They are designed to control, manipulate, and ultimately suppress any thoughts of escape. The psychological chains that bind North Koreans are more than just abstract concepts. They are real, tangible, and deeply ingrained in the psyche of every citizen. They are the invisible shackles that tether North Koreans to their homeland, regardless of the hardships they endure. The psychological barriers are deeply entrenched, making the thought of escape terrifying and almost unthinkable. These invisible shackles are indeed the most formidable barriers to escaping North Korea. Despite these barriers, some North Koreans have attempted the perilous journey to freedom. At the heart of every escape, there's a story of desperation, a tale of survival against all odds. These are the narratives of those brave enough to risk it all for a shot at liberty. Each one is a testament to the lengths people will go to reclaim their lives from the clutches of a repressive regime. Take the story of Ji Seong-ho, for instance. As a teenager, he lost his leg and hand while scavenging for food on a train track. Despite his disability, he made a daring escape across the Tumen River into China, fueled by the hope of a better life. His journey was fraught with danger, but his desire for freedom was stronger. Then there's Yeonmi Park, who, at the tender age of 13, traversed mountains and deserts with her mother to reach South Korea. They endured unimaginable hardships and dangers, including human traffickers and harsh weather conditions. But their courage and determination to break free from the chains of oppression saw them through. Or consider Shin Dong-hyuk, born and raised in a North Korean prison camp. He knew nothing of the world beyond the barbed wires until a fellow prisoner told him about life on the outside. That sparked a flame in him, and he made a daring escape, becoming the only known person to have successfully fled from a total control zone grade internment camp. These are but a few of the countless stories of North Koreans who have risked life and limb for a chance at freedom. These tales are not just about their physical journeys, but also about their emotional and psychological battles. They highlight the human cost of the oppressive policies of the North Korean regime. Each tale is a testament to the human spirit's indomitable will to seek freedom, no matter the cost. Escaping North Korea is not the end of the journey, but the beginning of a new set of challenges. One might imagine that once an individual steps over the border and out of the iron grip of the North Korean regime, they are free. However, the harsh reality is far from this idealized notion. The first challenge that defectors face is the very real risk of being caught and sent back. North Korea's neighbors, particularly China, often do not recognize these individuals as refugees. Instead, they are seen as illegal immigrants and are regularly repatriated to North Korea, where they face severe punishment. It's not uncommon for escapees to be subjected to lengthy prison sentences, forced labor, or worse upon their return. Another major hurdle is the actual journey itself. The path to freedom is often a treacherous one, fraught with dangers like harsh weather conditions, perilous terrains, and the constant fear of being detected. It's a journey that requires immense courage, resilience, and an unwavering will to survive. Once defectors manage to avoid capture and successfully escape, they are confronted with the formidable task of adjusting to life in a new country. For many, this involves learning a new language, adapting to a different culture, and finding ways to support themselves financially. The psychological trauma from their past, coupled with the stress of adapting to a new environment, often leads to a range of mental health issues. As noted by human rights activists, the journey to freedom is not a simple one. It's a complicated and dangerous process, filled with uncertainty and fear. But it's also a testament to the indomitable spirit of those who dare to dream of a better life. In a world that can be unforgiving and harsh, these brave individuals must navigate their way through a maze of challenges, all in the pursuit of a life of freedom and dignity. The path to freedom is fraught with danger, but for some, it's a risk worth taking. The question remains, what can the world do to help the North Korean people? As we navigate this complex issue, we are faced with a multitude of potential solutions, each with its own set of challenges and rewards. One of these is the increased international pressure on the North Korean government. The world community can impose stricter sanctions, engage in diplomatic negotiations, or even advocate for human rights in international forums. But this approach needs to be handled delicately, as it could risk escalating tensions or inadvertently worsening the conditions for the people we aim to help. Then, there's the support for defectors. These brave individuals who have managed to escape the regime's grip can provide valuable insights into the realities of life in North Korea. They can also act as powerful voices in the fight against the regime's human rights abuses. Supporting them can range from providing safe havens and resources for their resettlement to amplifying their stories in the media. But perhaps one of the most potent tools at our disposal is information. North Korea's control over its people is, in large part, maintained through a near-total control of information. By disseminating external media into North Korea, we can help to pierce the veil of propaganda, offering the people a glimpse of the outside world and a different perspective on their own circumstances. This could be through broadcasting foreign radio programs, smuggling in flash drives filled with movies and books, or even launching balloons carrying leaflets across the border. As a diplomat once said, the North Korean regime fears information more than anything else. It's the crack in their dam, and once it breaks, the whole thing could come crumbling down. But let's not forget, these are just potential solutions. Each comes with its own set of challenges and risks. What's important is that we continue to explore them, to push for change, and to keep the plight of the North Korean people in the global consciousness. While the situation is complex, the world must not turn a blind eye to the plight of the North Korean people. In this journey of discovery and enlightenment, we've navigated the unseen Iron Curtain, walked the totalitarian tightrope, and heard echoes of freedom. We've explored the Labyrinth of Flight and encountered shadows in the mist. We've felt the weight of invisible shackles and listened to tales of desperation. And we've called for change. Now, it's your turn to join the conversation. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into global politics and regimes. Your engagement helps us create more content that matters to you. So, take a moment to hit that subscribe button and join the conversation in the comments below. Share your thoughts, your experiences, your ideas. Perhaps you have a unique perspective on the situation in North Korea, or maybe you've been personally affected by it. Whatever your story, we want to hear it. Your voice matters. Your engagement can make a difference. So, let's continue this journey together, exploring, learning, and advocating for change. In the end, it's not just about understanding the world better, but about making it better. So, hit that subscribe button and join the conversation in the comments. This is your beacon in the darkness. Thank you for watching.